Imagine you're designing the world's most powerful smartphone processor. You've got brilliant engineers, a killer idea, and a sketch on a napkin that could change everything. But there's one tiny problem: actually building that chip costs billions of dollars and takes years. You'd need a factory the size of a football field, filled with machines that cost more than a jumbo jet. And a team of specialists in hazmat suits. For most companies, that's a non-starter. So how did Apple and Nvidia, companies that don't own a single chip factory, become the giants they are today? The answer is a revolution called the Fabless model. Here's the thing: Fabless sounds like a made-up word from a sci-fi movie, but it's actually a simple idea. In the chip world, a fab is short for fabrication plant. That's the factory where raw silicon wafers are turned into finished microchips. So a fabless company is one that designs chips but doesn't own or operate its own fabs. Instead, they outsource the actual manufacturing to specialized foundries, companies like TSMC in Taiwan or Samsung in Korea, whose entire business is making chips for other people. Think of it like this: you're an architect who designs a stunning skyscraper, but you don't own a construction company. You just hire the builders. Right? This model didn't always exist. Back in the early days of semiconductors, companies like Intel and Texas Instruments did everything. They designed their chips, built their own factories, and sold the final product. That's called being an integrated device manufacturer, or IDM. But in the 1980s, a visionary named Morris Chang realized that if you could separate design from manufacturing, you could let specialists focus on what they do best. He founded TSMC in 1987 as the world's first dedicated foundry. And the Fabless revolution was born. Now, why does this matter to an investor? Because the Fabless model dramatically reduces the capital costs needed to start a chip company. Building a state-of-the-art fab today costs around $10 to $20 billion. That's more than the GDP of some small countries. Most companies simply can't afford that, or don't want to tie up all their money in factories. By going fabless, a startup can spend its cash on hiring top engineers, developing cutting-edge designs, and marketing its products. That's how a company like Qualcomm, which designs the modems in most Android phones, became a giant with a market cap over $100 billion, without ever pouring concrete for a factory. Let's bring this home with an example you can relate to. Think about the latest iPhone or the Nvidia graphics card powering your PC games. Apple and Nvidia are both fabless. They design those chips in-house, Apple's A-series processors and Nvidia's GeForce GPUs, but they send the actual manufacturing to TSMC. When you hold that phone, you're holding a chip designed in Cupertino or Santa Clara, but born in a factory in Hsinchu, Taiwan. That's the global supply chain in action. But it's not just the big names. Fabless companies are everywhere in your daily life. AMD, which competes with Intel in PC and server chips, went fabless in 2008 when it spun off its factories. That move saved them from bankruptcy and let them focus on designing chips like the Ryzen series, which today give Intel a run for its money. And then there's MediaTek, a Taiwanese fabless giant you might not know. But your TV, router, and budget smartphone likely run on its chips. MediaTek powers everything from cheap Android phones to smart home devices. And it does it all without owning a single fab. These companies prove that innovation doesn't require owning a factory. It requires smart design and a good partner. Now here's what's interesting: the fabless model has actually accelerated innovation. Because design companies don't have to worry about the headache and expense of running fabs. They can churn out new chip designs faster. They compete on architecture, how efficiently they arrange transistors, how they manage power, and how they add new features. And since foundries like TSMC serve dozens of fabless clients, They spread the cost of advancing manufacturing technology across many customers. That's why every 2 years, chips get faster and cheaper, even as the underlying factories get more expensive. It's a virtuous cycle. But there's a common misconception I want to clear up. Some people think fabless companies are just middlemen who don't add real value. That's totally wrong. Designing a modern chip is incredibly hard work. It involves thousands of engineers, years of development, and billions of dollars in research. Apple's M1 and M2 processors, for example, are some of the most advanced chips on the planet. And they're designed entirely by Apple's team. The fabless model doesn't mean the company is lazy. It means they're smart about where they invest their resources. They own the intellectual property, the design, and the brand, they just don't own the concrete. So the next time you hear that a company is fabless, you'll know it's not a weakness. It's a strategic choice that lets them focus on what they do best while leaving the heavy lifting to foundries. And for investors, it means you can bet on the design talent of companies like Nvidia or AMD without worrying about the billions in factory costs. Pretty neat, right? Subscribe to Taiwan Tech Pulse for more Taiwan Tech 101.